Hey, Will, what are you doing?
I'm grabbing a glass of wine, man.
Brother, you know we have a podcast to do.
I know. I'm trying to keep from spilling this wine. Hey, friends, this is Will.
Hey, everyone, this is Michael.
And welcome to We Know Texas Vino.
Cheers.
Welcome to We Know Texas Vino. This is Will.
Hey, this is Michael. Glad to have you guys here.
Hey, how's it going, Michael?
Everything's good. Good to see you again, Will.
Hey, yeah, well, I'm kind of excited. We're actually here at Edge of the Lake.
Edge of the Lake, yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. It's a brand new year, and we're excited to showcase 52 wineries this year. And so one of the funny things we do is we decide who we're going to work with. How did we find this winery, Will? What's up with that?
So me and my girlfriend found this through the North Texas Wine Association.
Okay.
Through the $50 50 wineries.
Oh, that's cool.
And we saw this, and I looked it up on Google Maps and saw the aerial view of it. I was like, oh, we got to go here.
Yeah.
And got here, and man, the experience here, this place is amazing.
And I understand you know the ownership. You've met some good people up there. Well, we're here. We're looking out the windows right now. This beautiful scenery, Lake Ray Roberts, and it's just fantastic here.
It's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
So we are here. We're going to talk to the owner. His name is Chris.
Yeah, Chris McIntosh.
Yeah, Chris McIntosh. And we're going to just get to know him.
Yep. Well, before we do that, let's get into how do we get people to connect with us? What are some of the great things we have? Some of the great opportunities we have for folks to send ideas.
So right now, if you want to go and like us on Facebook, it's We Know Texas Vino. Just go out there and hit the like button and share us out to everybody.
That's perfect.
We will be coming up with a website pretty soon. It'll be texasvino.com. Also, you can find us on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, and wherever else that you listen to podcasts, and go out there and hit us on the 5-star ratings.
Absolutely. We've had a lot of people already talk to us on Facebook and give us some ideas, and there's a couple 5-star ratings. And so we're super excited to have everyone get involved. And like we were talking to Chris a minute ago, we want people to be really understanding that the North Texas Wine Association and the people who are working hard are doing a great job. This is some good stuff here.
It's good stuff.
So we're in a great venue. So let's welcome our guest today, Chris McIntosh. Nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to have you guys out.
Yeah, so we're excited to connect with you today and get to know about you and your family and your winery. And I'm sitting here in this beautiful room right now, this tasting room. You've done a nice job with this.
Thanks. So this was our family's home, and we converted it into our tasting room. And so it's important to make sure people feel like they're being invited into our home, because they are.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been out here many, many times, and every time I describe this place, I'm like, this is a freaking mansion.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it looks like it used to be a home. I didn't know it was actually a home at one time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that's brilliant. Yeah, because I like the philosophy, make it more welcoming, and people come in and they feel more relaxed and enjoyable. And then as you build those relationships with some of your regulars, it is like home, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And that's usually the most common feedback we get from customers of ours, is that it just everybody treats them like their family, and it is because you're being invited literally into our family's home.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
The one thing I really love about out here, and I'm just going to give a shout out to Felicia. Mm-hmm. Every time me and my girlfriend come in here, she's always excited to see us. She remembers us. Mm-hmm. She remembered when we brought Luna in here.
How can they forget you, Will?
I know. I'm a forgettable guy. So I love the atmosphere here.
Yeah. Felicia's a treasure, and we enjoy her. And part of that family vibe is Felicia is my sister-in-law. My wife works in the tasting room. My daughter works in the tasting room. My dad's here on most weekends, talking to people and shaking hands and telling them the story about how this all got started and why we're here.
Yeah, let's elaborate on that. Yeah. So obviously you have a great winery here, a great property. We met the dogs. I pulled in. I met your dogs. Yeah. And so I pulled in, Will, and I also saw these huge dogs outside. I thought, okay, these are this is in Texas. We're in North Texas here. These are watch dogs. I'm not getting out of my truck until I meet the ownership here. But apparently they're super friendly. But so your family must have had a vision, some sort of tipping point where they said, okay, maybe we're doing this, and now let's get into the wine business. How did that all happen?
Well, their vision wasn't seen by everybody at first, I'll say. So the acquisition of this property started in 1995. My parents were there's a Johnson Branch State Park right down the street. They were camping. They happened to make a wrong turn down this country road and saw a little for sale sign about, 8 by 8, just twisted to a barbed wire fence, and they bought the first 10 acres, which is on the south side over here, in that same weekend. And over the course of a few more years, my dad talked to the pig farmer that lived here, Jack, to allow him to purchase the rest of the property. So the story goes with my dad, it goes all the way back to his grandmother. The same old saying, buy dirt, God's not going to make any more. But she always took it a step further. And she said, when you do that, make sure you plant fig trees and grapevines on your property so that God will bless your property. And so in 2010, my dad started planting a vineyard on the south side of the property, and we thought he had lost his mind.
What are you doing, Dad?
So back about that same time is when he first approached me about starting a family business. My dad's an OBGYN. My mom's a retired labor and delivery nurse, so that family business chance had passed. And so he wanted to do something that the whole family could be a part of. And I was like, you're literally watering vines with a water hose at this point. We didn't have an irrigation system, and I thought this is not a great business plan at all. But over the course of the years, he kept at it, and he tried several different varietals that didn't work, and then he landed on just using Spanish varietals. And so about 5.5 years ago, we revisited that conversation. I said, well, if this is really what you want to do, we're going 100 miles an hour. Otherwise, neither one of us will be around to enjoy it. And so him and myself and our vineyard guy, Greg, all went back to school at the T.V. Munson School of Enology and Viticulture at Grayson College. And we were doing that while we were all working our full-time jobs and doing things. And actually, that first year emptied out this amazing tasting room, which was a living room. And that's where I made the first vintages of wine, was here in this living room.
Oh, awesome.
And so we've been going at it ever since. And it's been a true blessing for our family and our community and everything around us.
Wow. That is very interesting. I mean, being a Christian man also and hearing that kind of values into this whole thing, that's just amazing. That just adds to me, adds a whole new level of how amazing your wine is. That's why I love y'all's wine.
Thank you. And then elaborate on the fig tree part too, because it is important. We actually have 2 existing fig trees on the property that are from cuttings from his grandmother's 100-plus-year-old fig tree in Augusta, Georgia. And this past year, we took some cuttings, and we have some friends of ours that have been helping propagate those. We were thinking about 30 would take, and we have about 70 propagated fig trees. So we're going to be planting a small fig orchard in her honor over here on this side of the property too.
Are you going to make some fig jam preserves out of it?
Yeah, we'll make some fig jams. As the winemaker, I'm ecstatic that birds will eat figs before they eat grapes.
Exactly.
So they may be a sacrificial lamb over here, but we will, with what we get. We love fig preserves, and we'll do some of that in house here too.
Well, it sounds like your family has put great effort into keeping the historical part of this as part of your whole vision, right? I mean, you have this history you're talking about and all this great stuff. And I love your fig tree idea as well. But obviously, that's pretty important to your family. And so what is the vision the next 20, 30 years? What's going to happen to this winery? And family staying involved? How's that happening?
Yeah, this will always be family run. We have some expansion things that we're going to be announcing this next year. But the one thing I can speak to at this point is we are going to be building a new winery that will be pretty state-of-the-art. We expect it probably to be the biggest, best winery in all of North Texas. And we're going to grow this facility into something where we can help other winemakers do some custom crush work for people up in this area. But the overall long-term is to make this a focus point. We are pretty much almost dead centered in what is North Texas wine country. And so to make this more of a destination place, it has multiple aspects to it, both lodging and venue, and really turn up the availability to this property and give people a pivot point to visit other wineries from us as well.
That's perfect. Yeah. Well, I love that vision. I was going to say, give me a hint, and you did. You gave me a hint of what's going to happen, which is good. I always like to pry. I like to dig deep and figure out what's going on. But that sounds phenomenal. That is a great vision. And to me, I wish you the very best of luck with that. I think it's going to be wonderful.
Yeah.
Good.
That's pretty awesome. So what is your favorite wine that y'all make right now?
Favorite wine. See, people always ask the winemaker that.
Yeah, right.
It's hard.
Well, both of us being like pouring wines also.
Yeah.
We get asked that, what's our favorite one? So we're like,
Yeah, I know.
You probably can't even really answer that because you take great pride in all the wines you create and make. But even as connoisseurs, it's tough to say, well, this is the wine I go to every time because there's so many great wines out there.
But I guess I'll always lean to our estate Grenache. We, just like a lot of Texas wineries, we thought Tempranillo, which we grow, would be a flagship for us. Grenache is really, and it has a lot to do with where this property is located and its proximity to the lake on all sides. Right. You really do get that kind of Mediterranean type weather here. Because no matter which way the wind's blowing, we have lake effect, which has helped us with late frost and all sorts of stuff that we've never really received any damage, fingers crossed. But our Grenache, and my wife will tell you that's the reason she married me. I am really starting to believe that the Grenache is really, really special here. The color is amazing. The fruit's amazing. We have a lot more control. It's a pretty high alcohol wine because we let it hang as long as we can, but it is super, super fragrant, super great. And we really hang our hat on our Grenache, I think, at this point.
Awesome.
That's awesome. That's beautiful. Well, and then so that's your staple, and then you have your Tempranillos and some other things. So what are you growing here? And then can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So this is a 100-acre property here on the lake. We have 15 acres under vine. We concentrate on Albarino, Tempranillo, and Grenache. So at this point, Spanish varietals. My dad made those decisions by simply really just drawing the line across the map and running into Spain and then researching those Spanish varietals, and that's what we decided to plant. We have about 54 more acres available for planting on the west side of the property. So we will, probably expand on those varietals and add a few more that I would like to play with. And then everything else we source from, at this point, Ready Vineyards in the Texas High Plains. So we bring in more Tempranillo, we bring in more Albarino, but we also have some Cab Sauv, Malbec, Barbera, Viognier, and we use Petit Verdot at this point more for blending, but we also bring in Petit Verdot from up there. So we'd like to expand on some of that as we get that new more space.
That sounds great. Wow, this is exceeding my expectations for sure because I just didn't know a lot about this winery.
Right.
I'd heard of it, and of course, I'm relatively new to Texas, but I'm really impressed. You guys are doing a great job here. It sounds like your vision is cast in iron. I mean, you guys are doing a wonderful job. I wish you guys, obviously, success right across the board.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
I will have to say, your Albarino is by far my favorite one here. I'll take that back. I'm going to have to I had to correct myself. That's my girlfriend's favorite. That's my favorite. But y'all make this freaking Freedom Mule.
Yeah.
I'm a Moscow Mule fan. Y'all make this Freedom Mule. I remember the first time coming here.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend saw that on the menu and she tried to hide it from me.
The Mule is fun. It is a great drink. You use a bright, dry white with it that's got a lot of floral, and you add that ginger beer to it, and it just opens it up into a whole new summer drink.
It's I keep trying to keep at least 3 to 4 bottles of that Freedom at the house.
Good, we love it. We love that.
And I usually do make trips up here just to get that when I'm out.
Yeah,
that's exciting. Well, obviously, Will knows you guys well. I'm going to get to know you well, so that'll be fun to get to build that relationship and drink some of your wines.
I'm an expensive friend to have.
Yeah, okay. Well, I've heard a lot of the strengths that you have here. What, as a winemaker, as an owner of a winery, what are some of the obstacles you run into year in and year out that might help people see the vision? Because this is not easy work; it is difficult work. It is tough work.
I always make the comment that I can take the romance out of being a vineyard owner for you real quick. When you see how much work it is. The main obstacles, just like every other Texas winery that concentrates on doing Texas-only grapes, is the weather, and making adaptations. And this past year, I pretty much had my everything drawn out for the first time. These are the wines I'm going to make. And as the season got to harvest with this extreme heat we had, I pretty much tore up that piece of paper and threw it down and just kind of waited for the grapes to tell me what I was going to make this year, because we were getting, we only grow 3 varietals. We had 6 different harvests because everything was ripening at different times. So I was running at one point in that 1,000 square foot winery. I had 13, 14 different fermentations going at the same time, which was new for me.
Wow.
Because everything was layered on top of each other. So weather's always an obstacle.
Okay.
I have really tried to concentrate as a winemaker, making the best from what we have from that year. We do what we call minimal intervention, but we really try to let the wine make itself. And we just, we determine those blends as we go forward. If we're blending, I've got a couple wines coming out this year that will probably never be made again because that's what Mother Nature handed me. But those things are always exciting. And I think being a winemaker in a state like Texas you've got to be fluid. And at the same time, trying to set up our own style and our own stamp in this state that's so, diverse in its winemaking styles has been fun. Yeah.
That is exciting to me. I've always said that risk is adventurous. It's common sense risk, right? But for you to have, again, back to the vision, it sounds like you put a lot of thought into this. I'm sure you work with your father and the other teammates that you have, family members. But that is so cool to be creative and innovative and to really explore this amazing adventure. It's so cool.
It is.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Hats off to you for all the work that you do, because I know when you see people come in here and drink your wine and they smile and be merry and enjoy your stuff and come back here all the time, that's a great feeling right there.
Yeah. It's probably the most enjoyable part.
Yeah.
Is seeing somebody taste something and be pleasantly surprised because they've maybe had horrible experiences or tried Texas wine 10 years ago and weren't really feeling it. And now they've come in to your winery and they taste something and they're like, wow, we really enjoy it when we have customers that live here and they have friends from California that are just, you can just tell they're dreading this whole experience up front. And then they sit down and they have some wine and they're like, do you ship to California? And you're like,
oh, that's great.
No, not yet. We'll let you know when we do.
So tell us about your awards that you've won.
Okay.
So you've recently won a whole bunch of awards.
We did. So we'll start. Last year, we just kind of took a shot at some contests. We were brand new. It was our first year being open. And we entered in Lone Star International. We entered in the Texas International Wine Competition. And then we took a shot and sent 6 wines to the San Francisco International Wine Competition. First was Lone Star. We only sent 8 wines. We won 8 medals, a couple golds, and then a best in category for our Grenache for the state. And then in Texas International, we won for the Albarino that you're fond of. We won Texas Best White in our first year in competitions.
Nice.
And then we also received a gold for our Petit, which is our Tempranillo Petit Verdot blend at the San Francisco International Wine Competition.
Wow. Well, congratulations.
I can try that one today. That might be the bottle I'm taking home today.
Yeah, it's a fantastic wine. So far this year, we've gold has eluded us this year. We still have one more contest left that we've entered, but we've won, I think, 15 silver medals in the competitions this year across those 3 competitions.
That's great.
So,
congratulations.
Yeah, it was pretty surreal last year because that Tempranillo that won gold in San Francisco literally been in the bottle for about 5 months when we sent it there.
Wow.
And it came out gold and we were like,
wow.
Okay.
Now,
this is real now.
Yeah. And I know this year our 2020 estate Tempranillo took silver in San Francisco International as well, which was a nice, exciting.
Awesome.
There's some great wines in that competition.
Well, that's wonderful. And it sounds like you guys are definitely moving in the right direction. So as we kind of wrap this up and kind of bring it all together and tie loose ends a little bit, if there's one more wine that you could create, it was that vision that you had a couple years ago. What would you like to bring in? What would you like to add to this amazing collection?
So we've talked about planting some Cab Franc out here.
And one of our favorites, right, Will?
And we have a different idea of in the style of it will be the only block that would be planted completely different. We will double plant that block, so meaning there will be twice as many plants as our other blocks to really, really concentrate that fruit down and make those plants struggle. It may take an extra year or 2 before we actually would be able to get fruit off of it in that manner because we would really want those plants to struggle and push roots in. And I think Cab Franc is a great standalone. It's a great alternative to not being able to grow a quality Cab Sauv here, at least in this exact area. It works great for blending and kind of adding another arsenal to our blend, I think would be incredible. But mostly we look forward to having more tank space so that we can make some of these things. There's a lot we could do out here. And So with the new winery coming in the future, that'll really free us up. And then you can ask me that question again, because I'm sure my mind will go a lot further. Right now, it's hard to think past 1,000 square feet.
Well, that was my spontaneous question.
Yeah.
I know we kind of prepped you on a few questions. That was my spontaneous question, because I like to pick people's brains for sure. But geographically, it sounds like you have made a great choice, you and your family. Obviously, you have a great location here, and things you're going to thrive. I really believe that. I can't believe you've only been open for just under 2 years. Is that correct?
Yeah, it'll be 2 years in February.
Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's very impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been drinking wine for about 3 years now. Again, I'm still wet behind the ears. I can still pull the water off. But I found Joe's Winery last year. Yeah. And immediately me and my girlfriend became members. Yeah. And I've been a member now almost, I think, a year now. Yeah. Coming up on a year now. Yeah. So we love coming out here. We love seeing it out here. Love the dogs. Bring our dog out here and they play out here.
Oh, your dog plays with those dogs?
Yeah. That's good. Literally plays with them. Yeah. But y'all, you've taken an image. Image is not even the right word. An idea, a vision, and made it into something amazing. Yeah, we commend you for that.
I appreciate it.
Well, Chris, how can people reach out to you? How can people learn about your winery online? Maybe talk about where you're located exactly, and how do we reach out? How do our listeners find you?
We do most of our stuff on Facebook, because I'm not an Instagram generation. Right. I should be, but I'm not. There is some stuff on Instagram, but in our Facebook, our website has our contact information. If you want to come out and make a reservation, you can call anytime and ask us questions about how the experience works here. Because we do have a certain way that we do our wine tasting, and that's important to us that we do it in that manner. So you can at edgeofthelakevineyard.com. On Edge of the Lake Vineyard on Facebook. That's going to probably be your two best places to contact.
Those are good places to go, right?
Yeah, awesome. On both of those, we'll have our phone number listed, so feel free to call us. And I would have to mention that while we're out here in the middle of nowhere, we're literally 3 miles from 35. So the second you exit, it's 3 miles to our front gate to enter the property, and that makes us a great proximity to Dallas, McKinney, north of here, everywhere. So
I can't wait to bring my wife up here. She's going to love it.
And just for all the listeners out there, just so you know, the exit is 483 coming from Denton.
Yes, 483.
483, that's right.
And the bridge is back open.
That was a nightmare.
Awesome. Well, any closing remarks? Anything you want to share with everyone?
No, I mean, we appreciate you guys coming out and talking with us. We invite anybody and everybody to come out and enjoy the experience and the beautiful views of the lake and taste the fabulous wines that we've poured our heart into and making. We don't do a bunch of advertising. There is a sign on the main road that tells you where to turn. Mm-hmm. And we've really relied on word of mouth at this point to help organically grow this business. And so things like this are just an extension of that. We love it. Yeah.
And that is our goal, right? Our mission statement is to really showcase wineries, winemakers, ownership, and to get people to show up to your doorstep so you can enjoy them as well.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you, Chris McIntosh, and best of luck to you and your family and your endeavors.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys.
All right, thank you.
Hey everyone, this is Will, your host. We are so excited about our show and this next segment. This next part is the education portion. And if you have any wine topics you would love for us to cover, we will be happy to do that for you. All you need to do is just visit us on We Know Texas Vino on Facebook and let us know. Now, get your glass of wine and class is about to start.
Our education point is we're going to talk about the different grapes.
Okay.
From table grapes to wine grapes.
Okay.
So tell us, what makes the difference between a table grape that you eat that we can go to the grocery store and buy from a grape that you make using wine?
So, I mean, with table grapes, most of them have been genetically modified over the years to be seedless. And obviously they're grown usually in places where they can be harvested more than once. They're cropping those vines more than once a year. Mm-hmm. And they are usually picked as soon as they look pretty. Right. There's as far as vinifera grapes, there's over 3,800 different varietals that could be possibly obtained. And they all are so unique because of their history and the time they've been grown and what regions they've been grown and how they were maintained. And those things have happened naturally over time. Right. And obviously a table grape is quite pleasant when you first put it in your mouth, where sometimes some wine grapes are not as a winemaker, they're all beautiful when
Yeah.
you taste them when you're walking through the vineyard, but they're not always pleasant as the first taste to people.
What is the taste? What is that initial taste generally people get when they taste a wine grape? Is it sour?
Some of them, no, not necessarily
Okay.
sour. Well, we're tasting throughout the season. So
Mhm.
yeah, we're tasting when they're sour. We're tasting when they get sweet.
Yeah.
The skins are much thicker. And that's where a lot of the profiles of the wine comes from. But some of them really, can taste, they have almost like I call it good dirt taste, but to somebody else who doesn't have a real dirt type taste, and because they're very from the earth and there's seeds in there, and we're looking for all sorts of different things in the maturity of that grape through the growing season. So I'm not a huge knowledge person of table grapes, but I mean,
table grapes. I mean, this is my vision when I think of table grapes. I'm thinking big, long, fat grapes. And when you bite into it, it's nothing but sweetness.
Right.
I've eaten some grapes off the vine that are wine grapes in Fredericksburg.
Yeah.
And the couple that I've been into, they were like, ooh, it hit you right in the back of the throat, right at the bottom of the neck. When you eat something sour or bitter, that's where it hits me. And every time I've done that, and I'm sitting there, and when you bite into it, it was a little bit harder to bite into because the skins were a little bit thicker. Yeah. And then, of course, the ones that I've been into had seeds in it. So
they'll all have seeds.
They'll all have seeds in it.
Yeah, they'll all have seeds. I mean, the ones that table grapes that don't have it, that didn't happen naturally.
Right.
So they genetically
genetics.
did that. Yeah.
And the ones I've had, like Sonoma Valley, Napa, I'm a West Coast boy, so all of those also, but that's why I mentioned sour. It seems like every time I've done that, it was a sour taste to me. I didn't get a real sweet. So maybe early in the
it could have been. I mean, if they were letting you walk through and pick them, they were probably not ready to harvest at that point. So,
I don't think they were ready.
No, but I mean, they do. They can have, you're picking up on things that actually make some of the complexity of the wine that at first, until you get it fermented down, is not quite pleasant all the time.
Right. And it's just amazing how you take a grape and turn it into something that's either really sweet or really, really dry.
Yeah.
And that'll be a whole topic for another time.
That'll be a whole different one. That's amazing. Yeah.
So, but we just, our goal is to help people understand and educate drinking wine, because we get asked, tell me more about how to drink wine and stuff. And I think it's imperative we start from the basics.
That's right.
Talk about what's the difference between a wine grape and a table grape.
Yeah.
Well, we start with the basics, right? It's like fundamentals, like being a basketball player. You're not going to be slam dunking your first day. You're going to be learning how to dribble the ball, how to play defense. And so same thing here. We want to start with the fundamental, the foundation, and then build upon that so we can really become more expert in this.
And the best way to do that is talk to the horses.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Good.
I think a common misconception that I tend to find when trying to educate people in the tasting room is that they associate certain grapes with sweet as being sweet, and that's not really. That association really should be made with the style that is generally used for that varietal.
Interesting. Okay.
Because there's nothing about a varietal that determines that it's going to be a sweet wine, and other than a winemaking style or a purpose-driven, plan for that. We generally ferment all of ours down to dry. That's our normal mode. Maybe a hint of residual, but not very much. We want to get as much out of there as we can. And our only sweet wine here, as you know, is actually a white wine that we do ferment to dry, and then we back sweeten it with blue organic agave.
Interesting.
So it's kind of a new take on a sweet wine. It's cleaner on the palate. It allows you to get all the alcohol out of that grape so that it's fun.
Fun.
I like
And
that word.
it's not that sugary headache explosion for people when they drink too much sweet wine. It's clean. It doesn't coat your tongue with sugar, and it's just a new thing. And that's really probably will maybe forever be the only sweet wine we make. And it's not that we won't use grapes that maybe were traditionally made. People will associate with being sweet, but we're going to continue to make those dry.
Awesome.
Very cool. Anything else there, Mr. Will?
I think we're good.
Yeah, thank you for that. We appreciate it, because you are the expert, you are the pro. And one of the things we said in our opening podcast, this is podcast number 2, opening podcast. If you didn't catch that, go back and catch that. It's a fun little introduction. Yeah. But our mission statement really is just to not only educate, but to be educated. So thank you for that, Chris. That's awesome.
We want to talk to you. You're on the front line. You make this stuff, and you're the one that makes everybody else happy.
It's like you just described a war. He's on the front line and he's doing all the hard work. We're doing it, but no, that's good. All right, well, I think we're going to wrap that up. But Chris, appreciate your time and your efforts for sure. And Will, remind everyone how they can connect with us again.
If you go out there and find us on Facebook, we know Texas Vino, and find us on Apple and Spotify podcast, and go out there and give us a 5-star look.
Absolutely. And so one of the things we've instituted is kind of a little quote, a fun quote that I look up every week to kind of just have some fun with folks and to get people smiling a little bit. I sent this one to my mom and she really liked it. So this week's quote is: the secret of enjoying a good wine. 1, open a bottle and let it breathe. 2, if it does not look like it's breathing, give it mouth to mouth. So that is our quote for the week. And so we've had a good time, of course, and just enjoyed Chris and his family, and this is wonderful. And I'm going to buy a bottle of wine here. What do you think?
Save for it.
All right, man. Well, another day, another glass of wine. Cheers,
Yes,
buddy.
sir.
Thank
Have
you,
a good one,
Will.
brother. Have a good
All
one.
right, cheers.
Bye.